Welcome, everybody, to Into the Fire. It is February the 21st, 2025. I had a little lisp there. Sorry. I'm glad that everybody's here. I'm seeing a lot of the people are already tuned in, and they're checking it out and leaving comments. I love it. This is going to be a really good show tonight. I think it's going to be one that Zarkeshan is somebody that I wanted to have on a long time ago. He was one of the original people that I had on the list of people to bring on. I wanted to thank Stephen from Toronto, Canada, for the coffee cups that he had sent. He personalized these and sent them our way, and it is much appreciated. I'll try to bring them on after this quick video that we're going to show, just to kind of show you a gist of it. I'm just happy to be here. It's Friday night. Excited. I look forward to this every week. This is like therapy for me. And let's just get straight to this episode. I'm going to show you a quick video. It's about a 6-minute video. I know that sounds long, but I think that there was no better video to introduce you to this next guest for episode number 41. And go ahead and show it, Amanda.
Definitely feel blessed. All the doctors I've had took great care of me.
Tonight, the Tulsa police officer who survived being shot in the head during a traffic stop is sharing his story of triumph, exclusively with News on 6. It's the first time Aurash Zarkeshan is speaking publicly about what those first days, weeks, and now years of recovery have been like.
Zarkeshan and Sergeant Craig Johnson were shot while on the job nearly 3 years ago. Johnson died from his injuries and Zark survived, and says that he is living proof that people can have a good life even after enduring a traumatic brain injury. Only on 6, Reagan Ledbetter sat down with Zark and the neurosurgeon who helped save his life.
Another kiss? Oh, he's making a move now. He's making a move. Look at that. Give her a kiss. Oh.
They say walking miracle. I'm just a survivor, and I'm happy to be one.
Officer Aurash Zarkeshan has no memory of June 29th, 2020, the day that changed his life forever.
It was early in the morning. I was driving to work, and I got a call that an officer had been involved in a shooting. And I remember coming into the emergency room and seeing him laying there. He was in trouble.
Goes in here, you can see the scar, and the exit is back here behind my right ear.
The operating room was ready. I wheeled him up from the emergency room, put him on the table, was able to stop the bleeding, repair the injury.
For more than 24 years, our department has not had to deal with a situation such as this.
While all of Tulsa was captivated by this scene and mourning the loss of Sergeant Craig Johnson, Zark was in the neurotrauma ICU here at Ascension St. John fighting for his life. People were hoping and praying he would pull through.
The challenge was not knowing what happened and getting everything, all the information from other people.
From News on 6, this is breaking news.
It was a beautiful service here today for Sergeant Craig Johnson.
Zark didn't find out until a month after the traffic stop his supervisor and friend Craig Johnson had passed away. 3 weeks after the shooting, Zark was transferred to Craig Hospital in Colorado that specializes in neurorehabilitation. He spent 3 months there, where doctors repaired part of his skull using 3D printing. He then started his road to recovery.
Recovery from brain injury can take months to years. Full scope of recovery sometimes isn't evident immediately.
Dr. Yashar Kalani is a neurosurgeon at Ascension St. John and says brain injuries are more common than people think. Kids get them in sports, adults often get them from traffic crashes, and the elderly get brain injuries from falling and hitting their head.
So the fear that most people have, especially immediately after a big accident or a big trauma to the head, is this person going to be cognitively the same or similar to what they were before the injury?
Dr. Kalani says it can be frustrating for patients with brain injuries because they face different challenges like memory loss, speaking issues, and can struggle with relationships.
The bottom line is what you see at the time of the original injury is not what you're going to end up with. People do get better. It just takes time.
In Zark's case, he has memory loss and has to write everything down in notes on his phone to help him remember.
The deficits that they have are real. People do learn to cope with it, and people do learn to go on and resume their life. But what's really required is for the patient themselves to have a certain degree of protoplasm and willingness to engage in the therapy, but also for their family to be supportive, their community to be supportive.
Support from family and friends is something Zark has had from day one. Tulsa has had his back.
I'm always reminded of people that would come over to Colorado just to visit me. You know, Chief Franklin did, the mayor even did at one point, and then just friends from Oklahoma City that I had before moving here. They surprised me on my birthday. Even brought my dog, which that was special for me.
When Zark finally got back to Oklahoma in October of 2020, other than getting Whataburger, there was one thing on his mind: going back to work.
When you went back to TPD finally, when they finally let you come back, what was that moment like?
November 3rd, I remember the day. I remember Chad Murtaugh, one of my friends, he's on the department. He came, picked me up, and we took a back to work picture. It was like first day back to school or something. It was just awesome. And going over there, it was like they had a party for me, which wasn't necessary, but it made me feel special.
There's no doubt it has been a long road to recovery, and Zark faces battles every day because of his brain injury. But he's thankful to be alive and thankful for the people who have helped him along the way.
So this is the neurotrauma ICU.
This is where I was.
It has always been important to Zark to visit and thank the many men and women who cared for him in the hospital. Although he doesn't remember most of them, they remember him.
I know of Alex. Alex was one of my main nurses.
Zark's recovery took dozens of people watching over him 24 hours a day, and each one of them played a crucial role.
It's a multidisciplinary group of neurosurgeons, trauma surgeons, neurointensivists, nurses, therapists, all working together to give the care.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm a hugger.
You are? That's great.
Man, I'm happy to have been taken care of by his team, because I don't know if I'd have been here if I wasn't.
Dr. Kalani says some people see a person with a traumatic brain injury and think the person should just be grateful to be alive.
Officer Zarkeshan is being awarded the Oklahoma Purple Heart.
But he says they can have much more than that. They can actually thrive.
Beyond thankful to just still be able to walk around, and I've made amazing friends throughout the process. I mean, I'd consider you and I friends. Dr. Kalani and I are outstanding friends now.
It brings a warm smile to my face every time I see him and I see how far he's come and what great improvements he's made.
You do get better. For me, I'm still getting better.
What's next for Zark? He tells me he's actually going back to school to get his master's in IT. I asked him why IT, and he said, I've always been techie. Reagan Ledbetter, Oklahoma's own News on 6.
Let me tell you a little bit about Zark. I'm going to call him Zark. His first name is Aurash. And so, because he's had to correct me on that a few times. He was born and raised in Moore, Oklahoma. Growing up, he became fluent in both Farsi, which is Persian, and English. His parents moved to Oklahoma in the 70s to build a better life. As an eldest of 3 siblings, with a younger brother and sister, he took on a leadership role early on. He attended college in Oklahoma, and after graduating, he applied to various police departments. When he was accepted to the Tulsa Police Academy, he packed up and moved to Tulsa. He started the police academy May of 2019 and graduated that December. After completing all of the required training, he got cut loose to first shift David Squad, which happens to be in the east part of the city. And when he finally made it and was fortunate enough to work under an incredible supervisor, Sergeant Craig Johnson. And let's bring him on. Welcome. You're my friend too. He's a good friend. I consider him a good friend. Welcome to your very first podcast.
Thank you, Jay.
Love having you here, and we're going to talk a little bit about kind of your journey. You had applied at other police departments, and I didn't know you were from Moore. I'm from Mustang, so we're from a stone's throw away from one another. And I kind of did the same thing. I applied at several different departments, and I was lucky enough to get on at Tulsa, and that's what led me here as well. So we kind of share that a little bit. Because I used to cruise up and down 12th Street a bunch when I was a kid.
You probably know where my dad's restaurant is or was then.
Really? What was it called?
Mama Lou's, right there off of 35.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it many times. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've probably been there. So then you came here to the department in May of 2019, and after getting through field training. What was the month when you got out of field training? roughly? I think you'd been out 6 weeks, maybe. Is that sound about right?
Yeah, 6-ish weeks or so.
Yeah.
I think I got out of field training sometime in March, because that's whenever I bought my house.
Okay.
And the time frame seemed right.
Yeah, and it wasn't very long. And so I remember you specifically in the academy just because of your name. And I remember going, okay, what kind of a name is Zarkeshan? And so he helped me out with his name, and I do remember you from that point in the academy, because I always get messages. Sorry, I'm getting a message from prison right now. I know that's kind of the cool part of my job. I get messages not only from outside of prison, but from inside of prison too.
Dude, I get
Anyway,
dying a lot now.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short of it, basically you hit the streets. And what was it that made you want to become a cop to begin with?
And so my brother likes to make fun of me for this. But whenever I was a kid, we were actually in Iran at my aunt's house, and we were watching the movie SWAT, and the one with Colin Farrell. But we were watching it, and I was a kid, and I turned around to my brother and I said, "Man, I want to be on the SWAT team." And he's made fun of me ever since. And well, then I became a cop, and I'd love to do it, but that's kind of what started it, is, kind of being exposed to all the shows and the movies. And then just, I don't know, it's cool what you can do as a police officer. You can influence people's lives in a really, really good way.
Yeah.
You really can. I mean, I know a lot of people look at it like, oh man, cops, they're only out to get you. You're only going to have a bad experience with the cops. But I feel like you can give them a good experience.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's police officers, believe it or not, we do a tremendous amount of good in the community, and it's a lot more than just taking people to jail. So we do a lot of really, really good things, and we try to keep people from going to jail, believe it or not. A lot of times, sometimes they just want to go to jail so bad that we don't have a choice, but yeah. So you're in there, and one of the questions that I always ask every single cadet, and I've been doing it for years, is, I probably asked you this. I know I did. What was your dream job on this police department? Other than, was it SWAT? Is that still what you wanted to do, or was there something else that you had your eye on from the academy?
So I probably had Andy Mack and Griff before you and I had met, and I really wanted to go to narcotics. That was where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And
Griffin and I used to be partners back in the day. Yeah. So good people, and just a really good cop. And so's the other one as well. So Andy McKenzie was a great cop too. And I love his brother. Randy is one of my favorite people. So yeah, but so then you get out there and you're working the streets. Do you have a pretty good memory of that period of time? I know up into that period of time, right?
So yeah, I have a pretty decent memory up until like close to the time period of the shooting. I remember as soon as I got cut loose to one David, I know Craig was very, very, he pushed us to be proactive. He loved it because he was a pretty proactive supervisor. He loved backing us. So I got there, and he would tell us I'd like at least one citation and one good FI from you guys per night. And if you can get a felony arrest too, great.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
he loved pushing us to be proactive.
And just for the listeners, an FI is a field interview report. It's basically you had a contact with somebody, and you're making a record of that. And why are those important? Well, the son of Sam was put in a specific area based on a parking ticket. So, I mean, literally, it's those little contexts. It shows people in a specific area at a certain time, and it just updates people's information and stuff when the cops have contact with them. So that's what he's referring to. And so you're out there, and that specific night that we're talking about, kind of lead us up to what was going on that night, and how you ended up kind of involved in this situation to begin with, as far as the stop.
So I want to tell everybody, I was assigned to the David 3 beat. That was my area. So if you're in Tulsa, familiar with it, that's the 27th and Memorial area. And I just kind of wanted to go out and be proactive. And we were in the lull of the night, that 3 a.m., 4 a.m., it kind of starts to really die down. But I still wanted to go out there and push. I was kind of the only one that was still up for it, but Craig, he told me, he said, "Hey man, if you want to go stop cars and be proactive, go for it. If nobody comes on to back you, then I'll back you." And well, the very first traffic stop after that was the traffic stop. And I found him in my area at 27th and Memorial.
Yeah, and what was it that he did that drew your attention to his car specifically?
So I don't remember the specifics of that. I've heard multiple things, and so something I want to hit on in that first video you showed, when I talked about the frustrating thing about a lot of what happened to me is the information I get is very secondhand. Because I don't really remember anything from that night. And it gets frustrating whenever people are like, "Hey man, do you remember this?" Well, no, I don't. But
and understandably so. So essentially, I'll tell you that this car had pulled out in front of him, and this was something that was at least talked about on the stop. And he's never seen the video of the actual traffic stop, and I don't know that I could watch it either if it was my situation. I don't know that I could watch it either. It is available. I mean, if you really looked for it, you could find it on YouTube. It definitely shows the traffic stop that lasted over 15 minutes. They had an interaction with an individual that identified himself as David Ware, and he was very, very difficult to deal with and being very argumentative throughout this stop. And ultimately the reason why is he had a gun hidden underneath the seat. And that's something that he did not want to go to jail for that. And then, so this turned into a situation where you guys get into a use of force moment where you're trying to get him out of the car to essentially tow the car. The car hadn't been, tag was out, insurance, no insurance, et cetera, et cetera. And that's essentially what had happened. And then in the midst of this, that's when he had ended up reaching, while they were trying to get him out of the car, he reached underneath the seat, and then he ended up shooting both Craig Johnson and Zarkeshan, each one of them critically. Very, very, very critical situation. And then both were arriving officers, and there's Craig there. Arriving officers had arrived, and in my opinion, truly heroic actions by the arriving officers that really, including a Oklahoma Highway patrolman that really came to aid the both of them, and then they transported you both off to the hospital. Mm-hmm. So you don't remember that portion of this story. That's a part that you may have heard this and that. And I'm just trying to bring people up to speed. The thing about the OHP trooper really stood out to me, and not just him, just the officers that were his squad mates. My gosh, showing up, and just really incredible sight to watch them at work and trying to save the both of you. Unfortunately, Craig died the next day. And I'll tell you something that you may not know is that I got called early that morning, and our whole team got mobilized, and you already knew that. But I got told, that both of you had been shot critically, and this is something that I've never experienced in my career. where we had an officer on the possibly going to die, and I've been on the job for a long, long time. And fortunately, we hadn't lost anybody. And then I went to St. Francis Hospital, and you were at St. John's Hospital. And so this began your journey of recovery. So tell us, you end up going to Colorado. We'll probably touch more upon that portion of it, because I want to make a note of mentioning somebody down the line. You end up going to, once you recover from the hospital, and you, far from being completely recovered, you end up getting sent to a rehab facility. And where at in Colorado? Where was that at?
So it was Englewood, Colorado, pretty much Denver area. Yeah.
And you were there
Craig
for a
Rehabilitation Hospital. Sorry, what was that?
And you were there for quite some time, and several months.
Yeah.
And show us just give us a peek right now. Your leg is in a cast.
Yeah.
And down he's in a cast right now, and we saw him hobbling over to the door a little bit ago. And you just recently had another surgery in reference to this incident. And what was that about?
So
if you don't mind sharing.
No, it's fine. One of the bullets that hit me, the one that hit me in the hip, it ricocheted and nicked my sciatic nerve, and it killed the nerves on the outside of my leg going down. So, you and I, or your feet probably, you can go up, side to side, do all that jazz. My left foot kind of just drug along. I couldn't raise it up or anything.
Now, was that something that you ended up having more and more complications with as time went on, or was that something you've just been dealing with since the incident?
So it's been there since the incident. It was quite a bit worse whenever I had the nerve pain, and we got the nerve pain under control. That was pretty bad in the hospital. They tried just about everything to get it under control, and finally, the medication that worked for me is Lyrica.
Okay, I've heard of that. And what does that exactly do?
It's just nerve pain medication.
Okay, nerve pain.
Yeah.
And then so you're dealing with that right now, and it's looking good. Your prognosis is good, I take it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so while you're in your recovery and so forth, you start learning more about this incident, and then when did you actually? I know that you talked about it in the news story, but remind me, when did you learn about Craig ended up dying out of this situation and learning more details? That had to have been a massive shock, not knowing what was going on.
So it was about a month afterwards. Whenever I first got to Colorado, I actually I ended up at the hospital with a severe infection in my head, I guess, during the meta-flight or whatever to Colorado. I got a infection in the head, and that almost killed me. But the nurses recognized it whenever I got there, and I went to surgery again. So that was whenever I had my second craniotomy. And then started recovery over. And then once I was stable from that, kind of coming back to it, that was whenever my girlfriend at the time, she informed me, like, hey, we didn't want to tell you this in the beginning, but Craig died that night.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know Craig incredibly well. I knew him. As a matter of fact, I spoke to him via a friend of his at least once, because I remember it. It wasn't too long before this, and very nice guy. He had a passion for copper theft. That was one of the things that he did a lot of work on and so forth. I think there's a law that they'd ended up getting enacted and so forth because of that. But one of the things, just to go backwards, I want to go back real quick because I don't want to forget. My job, I didn't really know what I was supposed to do, to be honest with you. I went to the hospital, and they sent one of us to St. Francis, which was me, and then they sent somebody else to St. John's, where you were at. And my job, I guess our job was really to act as a liaison between the chiefs and the homicide unit, just to kind of keep them abreast as to what's going on and to answer any of their questions. And of course, they're going to have a lot of questions that sometimes you're sitting there scratching your head about, like, why in the world why do they need to know that? But you're getting a lot of those kind of questions that you're dealing with. But I will tell you that Chief Larson, who is he's our chief now, and I'm not just saying this because he's my main chief, but he actually, and I'm not trying to say anything against Wendell Franklin, who was our chief at the time, but the fact of the matter is that Wendell Franklin, he'd never dealt with anything like this before. None of our deputy chiefs had ever seen anything like this before. Dennis Larson was the only person that in the room that had actually experienced something like this. And I will tell you, I've never told him to his face this, but one day I plan to. And that is that he was running this department. And I was very, very impressed with the decisions that he was essentially telling the chief what he needed to do, and he was doing it because he was guiding him through it. And I wanted to make a note of that, and just the outpouring of support that happened for you and for Craig was something incredible. I don't ever want to see that again, but it was incredible that was going on. So you get on, you're dealing with this at the rehab facility, and your job, what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to get back out onto the streets. That's the goal, to be a cop. And that's something you've talked about nonstop this entire journey. And you made great strides, and tell us about kind of how that journey was coming along and that you did make it to the streets.
I did. I made it back to the streets. It was short-lived. I went back through field training. I kind of expected that, but I went back through field training, shortened version of it, in East Tulsa again. So get done with that after a couple of months, and I'm cut loose again. And this time I decided to go work South Side, where my friend was. And 2 or 3 days into it, ended up getting sick on actually, I wasn't on a call. I went to go see Doremus, who I'm talking about. He was working a 89, which for the listeners is a off-duty job. So he was working his 89, went to go see him because he was one of my field training officers. And I ended up feeling sick. So I told him and my buddy that I was with, hey, something isn't right. I need one of you to take me to the hospital. They took me to St. Francis, and I had a seizure there. And that was it.
And then from that point, then you've still worked in a different capacity. That's not. I don't think that the different capacity is really what you wanted. You wanted to work the streets. You were you were a baby cop when this thing happened, and had been out for 5 minutes. So you were loving it. And then so this changed that course, and so therefore you were kind of relegated to doing different duties at different divisions. Special investigations division. Where else have you worked?
So let's see. I went to SID. I was in burglary. I went to exploitations, where I would come see you and Ronnie all the time. Property room. The academy. I think the only place I haven't gone to is SOD.
Okay. Yeah. And so you've done all of that stuff. And in the midst of all of this right now, you have been working very hard at getting a degree. You're working on your degree in what?
So I'm doing a master's degree in MIS with a concentration in cybersecurity. I was talking to my advisor today, actually. I have 3 courses left.
That's it. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, there's a possibility that you may leave the department ultimately and then go on that route, right?
Correct.
Probably to make a ton of money, a lot more money, I hope.
Well, I want to take you out to lunch.
Yeah, I'll take you out to lunch. No doubt, I will take you out to lunch. Let's talk a little bit about, this happens, and then all of a sudden the trial comes up, and that's a part of this journey that that I think it bears mentioning because I'm sure, of course, you've said it all along. Hey, I've not watched the video. I don't know exactly what happened. But then you're in a position now where you're sitting in a courtroom. You haven't testified probably, I don't even know if at all, really.
First time.
You could answer that. Yeah, first time. And now you're in a trial, in a murder trial. It's a death penalty case. And you're getting the prosecution side's not the hard part. It's the other side and how they were treating you. And so tell us a little bit about that process and how you felt through that process.
Yeah, I was dreading the fact that, I am going to have to go to this trial and testify because I had heard a lot of things about the defense and how they're going to treat me, and get to the trial, and it happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, how was the experience? I mean, ultimately, you had this expectation that it was going to be really bad because I testified in the case. I don't know what really the experience was like for you. So was it not near as bad as what you had expected, at least from the treatment from the defense attorney? Because I hadn't heard one way or the other. Or was it as advertised?
It was as advertised, and I didn't really appreciate him pushing for me to watch the dash cam and body cam video. Like, no, I don't want to watch it. I'm trying to protect myself, and I don't really know what good comes out of me watching something where I know what the outcome is going to be,
Right. And see, I didn't know that. So that's interesting to me. And so apparently the judge found in favor of not making you watch it. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
What was the jury's reaction, just incidentally, when you were sitting there? Were you able to get a sense from the jury that they were kind of on your side, or?
I feel like they were, I think they kind of felt for me. We feel bad for this guy. Like, why are you trying to punish him and make him watch this?
And really, what do you think that honestly, what do you think that the motive of that was on his part?
I'd hate to say that he was purposely trying to hurt me by making me watch it. I think he was trying to get a reaction out of me.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably a good way to characterize it. And that's probably what he was looking to do. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that, yeah, it's a crazy deal. It was a death penalty trial, like I said, and the defendant, if I'm not mistaken, he did get convicted and he got sentenced to death. Is that correct?
He did.
And so there was another guy that actually got arrested as well. And the other individual was an individual that David Ware had ended up calling, and he called him on the phone. You can hear it on that traffic stop, literally, if you watch this video of this. And he calls for him that he needs help and all this other jazz. And then he ends up showing up. And as this is going on and they're struggling with him, he pulls up into the neighborhood, and that's where David ends up leaving the car and running up to him. And then he takes him, gives him a ride. And I can't remember, he got 20 something years. Is that right? Or did that get amended to a lesser or something?
So yeah, it did get amended because they got him on 2 counts of the accessory, which got amended to 1. And so earlier, whenever I was telling you, I'm getting a lot of Vine alerts. They're about him. He's getting released. He's going to be out on parole August.
No kidding. The second guy.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was so the second guy, I think originally, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong at any point, I thought he got like 25 years or 20 something years. Then they cut it in like half. So he literally got sentenced to like 12, or is that right?
Yeah. So it was originally 24, and then it got cut in half whenever they made it. They considered both acts that he committed, the driving him away, helping him get rid of the gun. They changed it to where instead of it being 2 acts, they put it all under 1 act.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing about this, do you know the case law that came about in reference to this particular case? Because there's been some case law, man. Okay, so what happened on this is I think that they had charged for accessory to a felony after the fact. Okay. And they didn't necessarily, I don't think they had an accessory to murder. And I think what it ended up happening is that they had charged them originally I think that they charged them with accessory to murder. And then that ended up getting thrown out, or there was some weird technicality. So now they have made the law that just because the person didn't end up dying, when death is imminent or probable on a particular case, it's okay to charge them with that. And it's something along those lines. It's case law now. So that's actually a positive thing. So the outpouring of support, tell me what that was like for you as far as the community. You probably got messages. Well, you know Blake Shelton. You met Blake Shelton out of this deal, and you got an outpouring of support that was probably from throughout the world. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got a lot of love. And every now and then I'll still get some love through like Facebook Messenger or something, and I always appreciate it. Sometimes this is going to sound really crappy, but sometimes I still get like the screw you pig or something like that. And I ignore them. I never respond ever, but it still happens every now and then.
Man, that's shocking to me. But there's always somebody out there that. Anyway, that's shocking to me. Yeah. But you're still getting messages and so forth. And then the community of Tulsa really just adopted you. Honestly, I think that's the way I characterize it. I mean, this is something that the city hasn't seen in forever, right? And
great to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw you in an airport. You were heading to DC. And I was heading some exciting destination to teach somewhere. And my wife and I had met with you. And who were you with that day?
I was with Craig's oldest son.
Yep. I think you were we might have met in Chicago, honestly, or we flew on the same plane or something like that. But yeah. So you flew off and you were going with Craig's oldest son, and you guys were heading to, what event were you going to in DC?
We were headed to National Police Week to have Craig's name added to the wall, and I was their escort.
That's very cool. Very cool. And was their mom along for that? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So what is this? What is the wall that you're speaking of? I know what it is, but just for the listeners.
Man, I feel like you would give a better explanation of it, but the wall is where fallen officers have their name etched into the wall, kind of being memorialized. And then the candlelight vigil, which is really cool, where their names are read off, and the blue lights or the blue candles are being held up. That's a really quick synopsis of.
You want to take a quick break?
I'm going to step away real quick.
Yep, step away real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda. So let me tell you, just let me know when he comes back, Amanda. He's going to take a quick break. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very powerful story. And this is his first podcast he's ever done. And it's a lot. It's a lot for him. And so it was a very emotional time for our police department. Like I said, if you were to look at the number of officers that were killed in the line of duty in the state of Oklahoma, unfortunately, Tulsa had more officers killed in the line of duty here than any of the other cities. I think OHP is number 2, and then which is Oklahoma Highway Patrol, and Oklahoma City Police Departments had the third most cops killed in the line of duty. It's just a dangerous, dangerous profession that we have. And I always think that it's not necessarily a bad idea to remind the public as to the inherent dangers that we have in this profession. And I think that, like I said, the only reason why I even mentioned that this video is on YouTube is, but it's there. I mean, if you wish to see it, I've seen some people say that they weren't going to, but it's certainly there for you to at least get educated as to some of the inherent dangers that happen within this job. And I'll tell you something else, that this happened, if memory serves, this happened relatively close to following the Minneapolis situation. And this is one of those deals where, if you don't think that incidents like that they affect the police too. And we want to make the right decisions. And in particular, since this case, our procedure has since changed. And the procedure that we've changed to is that if we are faced with a situation similar to this, is what we would do is we would we'll step back to our cars to a safe place, and we will give commands from there for the person to follow the commands. And then if they don't, then they're gonna get a taste of some chemicals that are going to be coming their way. And that's just the way it goes. It's not a negotiation. It's something that we have to be safe. And if we've gotten to a point where we have to use some sort of a force based on verbal commands where it starts to going onward, then it's just something that we have to do. So this is a very, very serious situation. It was very, very hard on everybody. It's been hard on us because I would love nothing more than to have him out patrolling the streets and so forth. And in some instances, like with Jason Schechterly, that was our guest from getting hit by that car and burning up in that car. Jason managed to be able to make it back, and Zark has been back for a long time as well, but he's doing things to better his life, and I love it. I think it's great. Amanda, there's a couple of organizations that if we get a chance, we'll ask him about it. But what are the two organizations, or at least one of them, that he had actually mentioned? Okay, so this is something, if you wanted to look into something just to kind of learn a little bit more about other police officers that are involved in situations where they are out to help people, but there's people that are members of this, and this is one of those organizations that Zarkeshan is actually a member of, and it's the streetcoptraining.com. And he was telling me about a couple of different police officers that are also members of this, that he had actually met one of them that was in a rehab facility. We may try to get him on later on down the line, but it's to help other police officers. And that's what it's about. And that's what we try to do in these situations. And it's just to help other police officers. And there's just far too many cops that are getting killed today. And I can speak with personal experience. I've been involved in a shootout myself, and it is not a fun experience. So, but like I said, what are some of the, I'm kind of looking here to see if anybody had any questions or comments and so forth about the different things. If you have a question, feel free to shoot it out there, and we'll try to address it. He's not very old. He's golly, I'll have to ask him. I think he's just over 30, if I remember correctly. But well, thank you, Terry. I think she's actually saying that it's probably one of the most respected jobs out there. Well, it's a very noble profession where we have to make split-second decisions. And if you think about it, we're one of the few occupations out there that exist where, how would you like to have a camera with you every second when you're doing anything where the camera is capturing every little thing? And by the way, you get scrutinized to a whole nother level. And that's that street cop stuff. So there's a lot of neat things that are on that. I haven't had a chance to really dive into it at length, but it's really something. If you're a police officer out there, you should definitely take a peek at that. Oh, good, he's back. Thank you for coming back. And so I'm getting a lot of great comments about you and so forth. And that's very kind. He is doing a great job. You're doing an awesome job. You're doing an awesome job right now. I'm gonna miss seeing you around. I get to see him all the time. He comes around just to pop in and say hello. And I went up to his office and I was like, "You're gonna have to do something here, buddy. You need stuff on the walls. Like I need to see stuff. And if you look at my desk, you've seen mine. And I go up there and you need pictures. But anyway, I'm glad you're back. So tell us
about in my home office.
Oh, I know it. I love it. So tell us about the this organization. I just popped it up there while you stepped out. Tell us about this organization about street cop survival that you're about. And then that second one, you'd mentioned a second one that I don't know that we've got the website for it, but she can get it. Tell us about what this organization is all about.
So, I mean, the name kind of says it all. They're a organization that is in existence just to train cops, and not only on like tactics and whatnot, but case law. So the founder of it, Dennis Benino, he's really big on case law, and that's the biggest thing he preaches on is know your case law. When you're a rookie getting out, know your case law. That way you can have confidence whenever you make those car stops. And, you know, if you run into a sovereign citizen and you're not sure what to do, well, hey, what have you learned from your case law?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Knowledge is power. And that's something that you get inundated with it in the academy, and they pump your head full of a lot of case law. But what people don't realize is that when you get that first call, when you're in field training, remember when you were in field training, you were probably so ready to be on your own, you couldn't stand it. And then the moment your first night out on the streets, it's like, oh my gosh, what's going to come out of that radio next? Because you're going to be responsible for that. And that's a little scary. It was for me. You know, I was like, hey, I'll volunteer for that road hazard, you know, because you're everything falls on you at this point. And those other cops, man, they're going to help you, but they're expecting you to do it. So I got kind of faced with the same thing as you did, where people were like, yeah, I was wanting to stop cars all the time. And you know, Pat Harker, and you know him really well. And I'm going to mention Pat because Pat actually grabbed onto me. I was in his squad, and Pat would grab onto me. He goes, that's enough. You're not stopping another car. That's it. Come with me. He took me to where the other cops were. And he said, no more. We can only handle that for a few hours at a time. Because I was a hard charger too, like you were. So do you still get to see your squad mates pretty frequently, or and touch base with them? And that's good. Have you been contacted by any other police officers that have been faced with other than that organization, but have been faced with a similar situation, just for like guidance or to talk about what you experienced? And
so I have by somebody in OKC. Let's see. Mainly it's people through that organization, you know, because we're all part of that Survivors Club. You know, if I see somebody chime in on, you know, man, I'm struggling with this after my injuries, you know, I'll chime in and try to offer guidance. One of the things I like to offer them is, you know, look for a brotherhood outside of that thin blue line. You know, we get so sucked into it, and I think it's healthy to have an outlet that's, you know, not the police department, which I'm sure you're familiar with Mighty Oaks. That's what Mighty Oaks is for me.
Yeah. So good. You're a part of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that there's another organization that you'd mentioned, and I at least want to make mention of it. It wasn't this.
The Justice Academy.
Okay. And what is that exactly? Remind us or tell me what that was again.
So they're pretty similar to street cops training.
Okay. It's building your knowledge. You get to meet other cops. You're, you know, is it all free training, or is there a cost with this?
So yeah, there's a cost to attend the trainings. You know, the organization themselves, you know, like Street Cop will look for an agency to host, and then the officers will get a discounted rate for going to the class.
Good. Is there anything that you would like to add that I haven't asked you? Or first of all, I hope that you've enjoyed this podcast. I really do. Well, actually, this isn't just a podcast, Zark. This is a radio show. We're broadcasted all over the world. You know, it's through KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I'm gonna send you a link to this episode, of course, so you can watch it over and over. Tell anybody you want to about it. We don't make money, but this is one of the things that I do as kind of a healthy habit. And I like to bring people like yourself onto here for other people to get to know who you are. And, you know, apparently, you know, people message you on Facebook, so maybe you'll get a message or two from my supporters that will send positive thoughts your way. And I think this has been fun. So 3 classes, technically speaking, is that something that you're looking at probably another semester maybe?
2 semesters. So one of the classes I have to take is required for the other 2. So prerequisite.
Okay, good. And so do you have a job already lined up, or some internship that you're going to be doing, or is it something you're going to be searching for that right job when you get out?
Search whenever I get done.
Okay, good.
If I can find one I like, you know, 'cause there's no point in leaving the department if I don't find the right fit, right?
Yeah. And let me, the last question, do you ever get to the point where I'm sure that the younger cops, do you speak at the academy about this incident at all? No. Do you ever get to the point where you're just like, man, I don't even want to think about it anymore. I'm over it. I don't want to think about it. It's part of your life. Obviously, it's a huge part of your life. It's changed the trajectory of your life. But is there ever a time when you're just like, I just don't want to think about it anymore? You're getting married. Did you get married? I know you proposed to her at the Blake Shelton concert, right?
That didn't work out.
Oh, it didn't. Okay, I didn't know. Sorry, I didn't know.
No, but I know girlfriend at the pickleball thing. Remember?
That's right. Yes, you're right. That's right. You are absolutely right. So, are you on the verge of getting married?
Hope so.
Okay. All right. Well, good. And so it's 7:52, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, sorry, ladies, he's taken because he's a good dude. He's a good guy. I really do appreciate the fact that you were here, and you know that we're brothers for life, no matter what. I mean, we're both Tulsa cops, and I'm telling you, I really, and I'm not the only one. Everybody that's on this police department, past and present, and you're a huge part, and you're going to be missed when you finally leave. But you're still part of us. You know, you're the part of that brotherhood. So we appreciate it very, very much. Anything else?
Tulsa.
Do what?
I'm not going to leave Tulsa. I'm not going to move back to Moore.
Good, because we'll have to go get a drink, or we'll have to go get a cup of coffee, or get some lunch for sure. I keep telling you that we need to make that happen. Ronnie Leatherman, incidentally, who was the guy that I worked with most, he was the lead detective in that particular case. Ronnie did an extraordinary job, and we did everybody in our unit did a lot of work on that. So we were glad to get where we needed to be in a very, very quick fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great honor for you all to join us. Thank you. I appreciate you for joining us. Zark, I really do. I appreciate it very much. And next week, oh, absolutely, man. I couldn't think of a better guest to have on here. I wanted you on here about, several weeks ago, but
you asked me before you started doing the show.
That's right. I did. It was in the first list of people, and you said absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime. And so I'm glad that we finally made it happen. That's perfect. Next week, Scott Michaels. Scott Michaels is basically the host, or he's the narrator of 6 Degrees of Helter Skelter. This guy is an absolute authority when it comes to the Manson murders. He actually consulted with Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He owned and ran Dearly Departed tours in Los Angeles. And if you talk about death and you talk about movie stars, he knows it. And so we're going to have him on next week. It's going to be, I've been trying to get him on here forever. And finally he's succumbed to the pressure, and he's going to be on here. So it's going to be a lot of fun having him. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Like and subscribe this channel. I appreciate everybody, and I've got to get off because I'm notoriously late. But thanks again, Zark. I appreciate you. And don't leave. Stick around, and we're gonna take us out, Amanda. Take us out.